Klaus Schwab of the WEF and George Soros declared that China must lead the New World Order. World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab has praised China as a model for the transformation of the world during an appearance on Chinese television. Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, was speaking to Tian Wei, the host of the World Insight program on the Beijing-based China Global Television Network, about the recent G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. Asked about the outcome of the summit, which included agreement on policy priorities such as tackling climate change, Schwab ordered the elected world leaders to go even further. That's very shaking because of the fact that China is one of the greatest world polluters. So how can they claim that they should be the leaders of the New World Order? He said, we have to have a strategic mood. We have to construct the world of tomorrow. It's a systemic transformation of the world. The leaders, he said, must define what the world should look like after this transformation period. Let's remember, China is a communist country. No religion is allowed. Schwab's praise for China echoes words uttered by George Soros during an interview with the Financial Times. George Soros laid out the global elite's plan for ushering in what he called the New World Order during the interview, and according to Soros, China must lead this New World Order. He said creating it and owning it in the same way the United States owns the current order. I think this would be the time, because you really need to bring China into the creation of a New World Order, financial world order, said Soros. They are kind of reluctant members of the IMF. They play along, but they don't make much of the contribution because it's not their institution. Let's remember that China, together with Brazil, India, South Africa, and Russia, are a member of the BRICS Bank. So their share, he says, is not commensurate. Their voting rights are not commensurate. So their weight to their weight. So I think you need a New World Order that China has to be part of the process creating it, and they have to buy in. They have to own it the same way, as I said, the United States owns the Washington Consensus, the current order, and I think this would be a more stable one where you would have a coordinated policies, he says. So it just goes to show that the elite have never really hidden what they're doing. They just reveal it in dry interviews and barely readable policy papers, while the public is distracted by an emotionally charged, easily understood good guy versus bad guy fairy tale. According to this fairy tale, which is offered by both mainstream media and overwhelming majority of alternative media sources, the US is in conflict with Russia, while a determined band of freedom-fighting nations, the BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS for short, are on a quest to free themselves from the evils of Western imperialism once and for all. In reality, this is a load of childish nonsense. Both the Western powers and BRICS nations are working closely together through the G20 to bring in the central banking cabal's New World Order. Here are the nations of the G20. The 20th nation is the EU, European Union, with the core Western powers circled in blue and the BRICS circled in red. Once their plans to culmination, the world will be ruled by a financial and political order that will feature China as the most prominent nation, supplanting the United States. But don't take my word for it, take it straight from the mouths of Klaus Schwab and George Soros. Schwab has expressed his admiration for the Chinese authoritarian system and revealed that it serves as a transformative model for the New World Order he is working to build. While Soros is saying that the way to bring the Chinese into New World Order is to have them help create it and give them ownership of it. So what does that mean? That means that China will own the whole world? This is nonsense. This is not a new idea, of course, since the Rockefellers hinted at this strategy back in 1961. In their New World Order blueprint book, Prospects for America, the Rockefeller Planet Report. It said the United States, in short, is challenged so to conduct itself as to bridge over in every possible way the potential cleavage between East and West. It's deeply concerned that East and West not draw apart through lack of understanding or through failure to see clearly the underlying interests that are held in common by the two great sectors of the globe. The way we order our life at home is an important factor in weaving the broad unity. So are our specific relations with individual countries. We can hope for bonds of friendships and ties of interest with the East. We must not let emotion or differences of ideology close the door to such possibilities of better relations with the Chinese people as may arise in years to come, standing for freedom and for essential dignity of man. The United States cannot see itself cut off from any continent or country, they said. So it begs the question, why China? Why would the global elite, whose home base is in Western Europe, have the Chinese front the public face of their new world order? A clue to their motivations and strategy can be found in the article titled Colonial Elite Rules China for the Illuminati. In it, the author states, the Chinese people would revolt against overt foreign domination, but embrace their place in New World Order if they believed they were in control. Of course. That's logical, isn't it? The Chinese have suffered greatly in the hands of the Western imperialism, as has much of the world. As a result, the global elite would have trouble roping many nations into Western-led New World Order, especially the nationalistic Chinese. Since you can't have a truly global order without the most populous nation on earth, China that is, the elite opted to use their own legacy of destruction to their advantage. Their two-part strategy to do so is this. First, the global elite set up a China-centered alliance as an opposing force to the Western alliance. This part of the strategy was hinted at in the mainstream press in 2002 UPI article titled, China Wants Its Own New World Order to Oppose U.S. Version. It's common practice for the cabal to use opposing forces to achieve their ends, and they always make sure they have influence or control over both sides. Think about the Rothschilds' role in the Second World War, for example. Second, the global elite have driven the world public into the hands of the Chinese alliance. How have they done this, you ask? They have widely publicized Highness New World Order plans by the Western powers, while simultaneously publicizing a benign New World Order plan by China and its allies, thus establishing danger from one side and safety from another. They have instigated outrageous and provocative action, both economic and military, by the Western powers. They have broadly exposed damaging information about Western nations, especially the United States. They have been so successful in these aims that the average college-educated CNN-watching young woke liberal hates the United States and is unwittingly working towards its downfall. It's really very simple. The global elite, including Soros, built a rabbit trap in the BRICS alliance that looks like a nice safe hole to hide from danger. They infiltrated our media and education system to brainwash the masses. Now they're beating the bushes with the Western powers to drive the rabbits towards the trap. Soros' admission to the Financial Times effectively confirms all this, and if we look again at the Rockefellers' prospect for America, it confirms this viewpoint as well. On page 60, it explains how Chinese nationalism will be used to emerge rapidly and conclusively from colonialism into New World Order leading culture. The modification of the nation-state has been confused by the fact that the aspirations of peoples all over the globe are today finding expression in the slogan of nationalism. What animates these people is a resolve to emerge rapidly and conclusively from an era of colonialism. They're going somewhere, but it is a real question whether they are going where they think they are. So the globalist elite have never hidden what they're doing, whether it's through the use of signs and symbols or through open bragging. The elite like to rub our faces in it. It's part of their grand humiliation strategy that's used to keep humanity on its knees. It's vital that we work together to continue to expose the elites and their plans for your world order. So the mainstream media and big tech are stacking against us, and we're relying on your help, he said. This is by Baxter Dimitri News Punch. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.